record. Hopefully that did it. All right. This is the joint Province 4 and Province 5 Creation Care Network meeting, April 5th, 2021. Co-hosted by myself, Catherine Duffy, Jerry Capel.
Everyone.
Jerry, would you open us in prayer, please?
I will. As I have been doing, I've been relying on the 2018 Book of Occasional Services, Propers for Honoring God in Creation. So let's pray one of those to open us. Author of creation and wisdom, you brought forth all that is to participate in your divine being and to change, adapt, and grow in freedom. You make holy the matter and energy of the universe, that it may delight you and give you praise. We thank you for gathering all creation into your heart by the energy of your spirit and bringing it through death to resurrection glory, through the one in whom all things have their being, Jesus Christ, your wisdom and your word. Amen.
Thank you. All right, so here's what Jerry and I were planning on for today. Well, it turns out that I may have invented some Episcopal holidays because I referred to April as Earth Month. And, obviously because it contains Earth Day, which I know is a secular holiday, but of course we're talking about caring for creation and honoring God's creation. So also I had been saying, and I'm blaming my former Roman, very, very Anglo-Catholic rector for this, that he said that April 25th was the major rogation day for 2021. And the minor rogation days were the 3 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, May. But as it turns out, they're not, but whatever. So we thought that we would, because of those things that I made up, we thought that we would take this meeting as an opportunity to talk about some resources that are available to all of us, really as a sharing, things that we knew about for Earth Day. And also because now really is the long-term planning pieces for Season of Creation. If you're going to do anything for Season of Creation, it may be possible that you're going to start talking about it now. So to talk about the way that we celebrate some of those things in the church, some of the resources and some of the events that Jerry and I are aware of, and then also hear what you guys are doing and how we can learn from one another. But before we do that, we want to be careful to create a space that's welcoming to people who've not been here before, but also where I know it's very easy for us to spend a lot of time introducing one another. So what we're going to try this month, as a matter of fact, just see, if you don't mind, if this is your first meeting with us, just raise your hand if you've not been here before. Okay, wonderful. That's what I thought. That would have been my guess, some new folks, but I never want to assume. If you don't mind, we want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves. And I know you won't have the opportunity to hear from the rest of us, to hear where we're from, but we'd really like to welcome you as new folks. And the rest of us meet monthly and spend a lot of time talking and introducing ourselves. So we're going to skip that part for those of us who are regular on this meeting for today. So I think we'll go just going on my screen, if you don't mind. Jay, Deborah, Joe, and Anne. And really just where you are, your parish and diocese, if you wish, what brings you here today, what you're hoping to get out of the meeting. I know, Anne, and you won't know us, but hopefully, and Jerry and I will do a little bit of that too as the leaders. But what we notice is we could spend the whole time just introducing ourselves, and then we don't get to the real meat of the networking. So we're just trying this for this month, just to have the new folks. Next month you'll come back and it'll be something different. So Jay, if you don't mind, thank you.
I happen to be at the top of your screen as well. River Ridge, or a suburb of New Orleans, a diocese of Louisiana. All Saints is the parish, and I'm relatively new to Louisiana. For the past 4 years, my wife, Deborah, and I moved here from California. I was a National Park Ranger for 35 years and Forest Service firefighter for 3 years and a Navy corpsman with the Marines on and off for 3 years. So I have 42 years of federal service. I grew up all over the East Coast and down into the South, and was in California for 40 years, and have now call New Orleans, River Ridge, our permanent home. So the whole idea of water-based environmental concern is very appealing to me. And if nothing else, being at the mouth, being at the delta of the Mississippi River, concentrates, focuses one's attention on the whole question of water. I've been very involved with a variety of environmental organizations, a long-term member of the Sierra Club, and am very pleased to be a part of doing something concerted, organized, focused. And the people that I have met through this forum so far have been somewhat, daunting in a way, because there's a whole lot of experience and energy and dedication to the whole idea of what we're doing. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jay. Elliot, thanks for joining us. For the new folks who are joining us for the first time today are introducing themselves, and the folks that are regulars like you will pass today. But if you want and you know how, Allison had the idea of changing your name to your location, as I've done as well, just to show people a little bit if you're not getting a chance to introduce yourself. So thank you. Deborah, you're on, my friend.
Okay, I am Jay's wife, Deborah. So same parish, same location. I have recently gotten involved with creation care in the Louisiana diocese, and I know Joey will be talking more about our group and what we're doing here. And I have a long-term interest in this particular subject. In California, I owned a public relations agency, and we focused primarily on food product. And in that work, there was an increasing need and desire for paying attention to sustainability and the environment. And I'm just incredibly grateful that the Episcopal Church has begun a process of seriously looking at creation care and what we as believers can do to help bring God's realm into a healthier place.
Wonderful. Welcome. Thank you. So glad you're here.
So I'll jump on. This is Joseph, it says, and I've got to change my tag. Everyone knows me as Deacon Joey. I'm a parochial deacon at St. George's Episcopal Church in New Orleans. I chair the Bishop's Environmental Commission for our diocese. And I guess the reason that Jay, Deborah, and I are here is that I'm a cohort in the 2020-2021 Contemplation and Care for Creation Certificate Program. And Jerry Capel happened to have sent me an invitation to join this group. I shared it with my commission. And so here we three are to be with you today, and we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
It's good news. Yep.
Anne, yeah.
Am I next?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When my husband started graduate school in Berkeley, I joined the Ecology Center and I have had a passion for this for a long time. apparently followed the wrong path because I was very active with recycling and things that we've found are not quite as advertised. Um, uh, since 2006, I've been involved with a company that is doing healthcare issues all over the world and have not had much time to commit to this. Locally, there was an environmental movement among the local churches that started just at the beginning of 2020, so it hasn't gone anywhere. We chose the church. We chose the Church of the Ascension because at the time we got here, it had an environmental group, but lots of issues. It's so easy for issues to get in the way. And what's happened is they lost the leadership. And in my experience, you have to have at least a designated leader to keep people involved and to keep things moving. So I have not much time to commit. Also, I had started a master's degree in PR, Deborah, before we left California, which I do. I'm a technical editor by trade. And I've written articles for the Homeowners Association about environmental issues. As far as I can tell, nobody pays any attention. So, but that's what makes things passion rather than a job. So I am passionately interested still and would do whatever I can.
Wonderful. So glad you guys have found your way to us today. I think like Heather, I thought maybe people would be fast asleep this morning, the day after Easter. So
Sun is shining.
Baird is just entered. Should be showing up here in a second.
sorry.
Oh, Rachel Baird
Oh, okay.
just joined.
Um,
Or Rachel Baird's name. Okay.
okay. Wonderful. Just very briefly, Jerry and I'll quickly tell you who we are. But for those of you who are new, the other folks that didn't have a chance to introduce themselves, we have equal representation from Province 4, Province 5, all the way from Wisconsin to more people from Ohio, North Carolina, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, middle of Michigan. I mean, we're pretty well. Indiana, sorry, I don't want to forget you, Christopher. We are well represented across the two provinces and have a group that's very consistently dedicated and passionate about the work that we're doing. So over time we'll take more time on future meetings getting to know one another. We just do like to stagger things. So we have a balance of talking and networking versus sharing resources. So I'm Catherine Duffy. I am the convener of the network for the Province 5 portion of the group, but work so closely with Jerry on a number of projects and a number of fronts. And so instead of, crashing one another's meetings, we just thought it might make sense a few months back to just join the meetings and have one big meeting, and it's really worked out well. I live in Columbus, Ohio, out on the east side, for those of you familiar with the area. Also the chair of the Creation Care team at my parish, and for the Diocese of Southern Ohio, co-chair of the Creation Care and Environmental Justice Task Group. We don't like the word task force, so I don't know why, but we don't. That's also a postulant for the priesthood, so making some kind of decisions about my future at this time. So much is yet to be revealed. So glad to be with you all this morning, and I'll just pass over to Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry Capel. I am a priest in the Diocese of Kentucky, serving St. James Episcopal in Shelbyville, which is 30 minutes east of Louisville. So the Province 4 Environmental Network Coordinator, and Catherine and I both spend a lot of time with the Center for Religion and Environment at the University of the South, as well. And of course, we can start listing organizations, I guess. For me, it'd be Green Faith and Kentucky IPL and things like that. So anyways, that. So welcome. I'm glad this is Province 4 is starting to show up. That's a good thing, because it used to be like lots of Province 5 and a little bit of Province 4, but we're coming on here. So, and I'm admitting folks. I don't know. Let's see. I think some have dropped and are coming back. That must be what it is. Okay. So, Catherine, how should we proceed?
Well, so where we thought we'd begin today is just before we start dumping resources at you guys and kind of asking you what you're up to and what you're doing in these areas. Jerry, I think, was going to give us a starting point of the way that we understand Earth Day, Irrigation, and Season of Creation, the way it works in our church. So we're all speaking the same language when we're sharing our resources. Yes, Jerry. If not, I can just keep on going forward.
I think a good place to start, and this can be conversation, folks, so you guys can stay muted when you're not, but feel free to press your space bar and unmute and speak up. What we want to do, we know that April is big earthy month, right? And churches are always trying to figure out some way to do something about that. And that's because there's an international thing called Earth Day, which had its origins, I guess, in the 70s, I think. It is one could say it is actually a secular event from which the churches have rightly wanted to say, well, it's right for us too, to enjoin with the rest of the world in the importance of this thing called Earth Day. And, so that's April 21 or 20, which one is it? 21, 22, which is my wife's birthday. I shouldn't ever be forgetting that. But also but that's not the only thing on the Christian calendar. Earth Day's an interreligious thing, right? It's both, or non-religious, actually. And so it does have that flavor, right? It's not particularly Christian. It can be interreligious, it can be non-religious. But we also have Rogation Days, which have been around for a long time. And we think, Catherine started talking about it, we think that in the Roman Catholic tradition, there is a April 25th Rogation feast that has been around a long time. But then I think more commonly for us, we know of Rogation Days, plural, like 3 of them, that cycle on the calendar in relation to Easter and Ascension. And so I think in 2021, those days are May 10th through 12th. That's a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I think. And there's that also falling then in April-ish, May-ish. But in more recent years, there's also the Season of Creation, which is actually Christian and fueled a lot by the Roman Catholic community in the world. That makes it, of course, a worldwide event. And that's the month of September up to the Feast of St. Francis early in October every year. And that is a rising star. And so I think every year we can debate among ourselves, well, which and how much of each do we do? And who's doing it? And what resources do we have for the doing? So anyway, we think that Earth Day is a 1970s phenomenon. Rogation is quite old. In fact, 700's really old. It was a co-opt of a more the indigenous earth-centered traditions way back, and the Christianity as it emerged wanted to kind of convert those things into Christian form, and therefore we had Rogation Days. And then Season of Creation, I think, has its start in the late 90s, if I recall. So that's the distinctions between the three. And so we thought it might be good for us to just talk together about what we think about those three and what we should do with those three and what resources there are for those three. Okay. Having said that, oh yeah, there we are. Allison is saying, it replaced a pagan Roman procession known as Robigalia. And yes, to I don't know if it is to either encourage or to placate a deity of agricultural disease, early on. And so they would do these things, and the Christians, just like Christmas, figured out a good way to co-opt them. So, all right.
So, just as a starting point, who, if anyone, is doing something at their parish diocese somewhere to mark either Earth Day or Rogation Day? Just with a hand raise.
Joey, 1, 2, 3, 4-ish, 5-ish.
Awesome. So who would you guys share? Somebody share? Anyway, Mike, and good to see you back here too. After Lent, your Lenten tech fast is over, day after Easter.
So this is Joey. We through the I work with an environmental group in the New Orleans area called the Greater New Orleans Interfaith Climate Coalition, and it's truly interfaith. And we started working on Earth Month in Louisiana in February, putting together several events. The first event will be tonight on April 5th, where we'll be doing a webinar on living in an icon and getting people a little interested about contemplation and care for creation, we hope, and see where that takes us. On April the 10th, we are going to travel to Grodat Youth Forum in City Park of New Orleans, where we are inviting several of our own people as well as youth. My 2 grandkids are coming with me, and learn about sacred ground. And it's a program in New Orleans where they take youth out of the city and teach them the benefits of growing produce. And it's a beautiful area. So we'll have that on the 10th. On April 17th, we'll have another webinar. A person who's an artist and works a lot with photography and water will speak to us for an hour, and interactively, of course. And his theme is everything is passing away. How, especially in Southeast Louisiana, living on the Gulf, we see the land just passing away, and what that says to us. And then on the 18th, we're going to get the youth involved. We went around to several churches, contacted the youth directors, and there's going to be a youth day on the 18th where the youth are going to have all kinds of activities in terms of care of creation and caring for the earth. And then on the 25th, after that event, the youth, it's called The Youth Will Lead Us. There's going to be a webinar where the youth leaders from several churches are going to speak about their experience, what they experienced in that day on the 18th. So that's what we're doing. And again, it's through the Greater New Orleans Interfaith Climate Coalition. And we have made efforts to get that out to a lot of different constituencies that we know around the city. In terms of Rogation Day, I had a conversation with my interim rector at St. George's, and we're thinking about on April 25th or on the Sunday close to it, to have a blessing of the grounds, take some palm leaves that we'll still have left over, bless the water, and actually have people in our parish go out into the grounds and bless the grounds for creation, for God to bring forth an abundance of grass, flowers, plants, and talk about that. So that's kind of like what's top of mind with us. I'll get off now.
Which is not a little. That's impressive. Let me ask a couple of questions for the group. Your webinars that you mentioned, well, I'll just put out, if those happen to be open to people outside your general area or outside New Orleans or your diocese, feel free to drop the links into the chat so people can see them and register.
I'll do.
Also, it sounds like you guys, you have a group and you started planning in February, which is actually really kind of nice to hear that it's a couple of months planning as opposed to full year of planning. That feels very manageable. You can also see, actually, just as a side note, folks dropping into the chat things that they're doing also. Elliot, I know, put some things in there, and Allison too. So Mike, what are you guys up to in the short term?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And again, my name's Mike. I'm from Greater Cincinnati, and we're very fortunate to have two big things intersecting. Cincinnati has a nonprofit, call it secular, back to Jerry's comments, called Green Umbrella. It's a very significant movement in Cincinnati to get everybody to think about being green. And then the interfaith movement has intersected with Green Umbrella, and now it's a I guess subgroup maybe. Faith Communities Go Green. So Ken Wright, he is one of the leaders of this intersection, making this intersection happen. And Cincinnati Earth Day will have a Faith Communities Go Green dimension to it. It's a virtual event this year as opposed to in person. And I guess the one takeaway, and I'll put it in the chat, that I've learned about is a movie on Netflix called Kiss the Ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to be inspired to do that after my nap this afternoon.
That sounds like a good day.
Well, I've been out cutting honeysuckle, so I'm ready to take a nap now, actually. So those are the highlights, Catherine, and I'll just leave with the movie Kiss the Ground. If you haven't seen it, it has been highly recommended.
And do you mention that from the advertisements and the push that Interfaith Power and Light is doing? You may have said that.
Say that again.
That Interfaith Power and Light is doing around that.
Solar is one of the 4 big pieces under Faith Communities Go Green.
Wait, I'm sorry. I may not have asked my question clearly, so let me just say a different way. Interfaith Power and Light is doing a big push for the movie Kiss the Ground. You may have said that for a second. My chat was blowing up and I wasn't sure if I heard you say that. Well, they're offering the movie online for free and then some discussion forums as well. And if anybody has the link to that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And so that's why I thought you mentioned it, actually. So that's cool that you came to it on, a different way. It means it's getting a lot of traction. Yeah. And the point of sharing these resources really is for folks who are not doing things or don't have things to share with their groups or even with their parishes, to be able to pick up these resources where they sound interesting, either for yourself or for to share with the folks around you. And I know that there are other folks too, but I do want to take a minute to share a couple of things that Jerry and I specifically know about. We in the Diocese of Southern Ohio, our Christian Care and Environmental Justice Task Force is fairly new. It came it's a formal manifestation of a group that's been working for about the past 2 years to put solar panels on as many parishes in the diocese as we can. We formalized now, and we're a diocesan, task force, for whatever that means. But we're really trying to focus on formation. And I say all of that to say that on April 25th, we are hosting a professor from Xavier who's done some work on racial reconciliation in our diocese, but his specialty really is creation care and environmental justice. And he is coming to my parish, which is All Saints in New Albany, and he'll be preaching at the 10 a.m. service and teaching a webinar in the afternoon. And we'll be having the service outside for anybody who's in Ohio or not in Ohio that would like to come. His name is Dr. Adam Clark, and the topic of the talk that he'll be giving is Christianity as an earth-honoring faith, a call to public action, really focusing on infusing and launching our creation ministry from the gospel, not from a secular place, but from our call as Christians. And so it'll be, I'll put the Zoom link to register. If that sounds interesting to any of you guys, feel free to pick it up and share it. We would love to have as many people come as possible. He's a really interesting guy and a really interesting speaker. I've heard him before. I know Jerry shared it out in the Province 4 email that went out a couple of days ago. It was in there. So please register, please come. We'd love to have you. It'll be broadcast on our parish YouTube channel as well, but let me drop that in there. And then Jerry, do you want to share? I can keep going about the CRE webinar for April, or feel free to just jump in and start talking.
No, I mean, so the other, I guess the other thing we're sharing is, and we had I don't know if we can put it, URL or two in here into the chat. By the way, if your chat isn't on the Zoom call, you ought to turn it on, because there's a whole lot going down there. There are people dropping resources right and left over there. So if you haven't been monitoring your chat, and if you need to know how to save that chat, we can tell you how to do that. So the other one is the Center for Religion and Environment at the University of the South, which is in Tennessee. And we've started up, we operate at the of and creation care or faith in the environmental crisis. And so we kind of lean toward the faith side. We don't do political organizing. We don't do community organizing. We are focused on the faith side. And we do webinars now, have been doing them for the for the spring, winter, spring, and we got 2 more to go. One this month and one in May. And so we're also sending those around in our newsletters. And just encourage you guys to pay attention to those. We had Norman Wearspa last month to talk about food and faith. We're having Elizabeth Carrillo this month to talk about a Benedictine spirituality. She is a sister at a cloistered group in Kansas. And then in the May, I'm having a hard time remembering who that fellow is. He just published a book. Relevant to what we do anyway. So the point being, go to, there's a link right there that that Catherine just posted in chat. So just paying attention to that. If you're not burned out on Zoom, we're still doing webinars. And then Catherine, do we need to talk about coursework, or what do you want to do about?
Well, let's pause for a second. That's a lot of Catherine and Jerry. And just who else, anybody have questions? Something else they'd like to share that they can invite the rest of the network to? Because again, this is our opportunity to share with one another what we're doing and how to invite. Carl, yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd just like to follow up on the Kiss the Ground movie. It is excellent, and you can get a copy or watch a free showing of that through Interfaith Power and Light. But the whole month of April, Interfaith Power and Light, National Interfaith Power and Light, has designated as a month called Sacred Ground, Cultivating Connections Between Our Faith, Our Food, and Climate. And on their website, you can download a packet of information which has a program for blessing the garden and other useful resources for your parish, and a packet of postcards. That the postcards are going this year to Secretary Vilsack. And one of the things on the postcard, it says, while agribusiness will be important, I ask you to publicly commit to prioritizing USDA resources for small to medium farmers and ranchers directly, especially those of color, to support their efforts to innovate and act quickly to manage our land to solve the climate crisis. So I think it's a very powerful message, and I think it's a great resource. And I recommend you take a look at the Interfaith Power and Light website for these resources.
Okay, thank you.
Jane, I don't want to put you on the spot, but wasn't it you that shared the storytelling?
Yes.
Will you,
Am I muted?
no.
Okay. Yeah. I will say that it's a secular event, and it's starting this week. Actually, the on-demand workshops begin today. So Jane is tired. Easter, Earth Up. The National Storytelling Network has a conference the 9th, 10th, and 11th at the end of this week. There are on-demand events this week and then 2 weeks following 2 weeks following the conference. It is all about using story to tell about climate, tell about the environment. And it's been very interesting. I used to be very involved with this storytelling community. And then, of course, we moved to Mineral Point, Wisconsin, and definitely retiring. And then they pulled me back for this to do the education piece. I'm pretty excited about my take on Thursday night, which is all about Aldo Leopold and his land ethic and how that relates to what is happening today. I've talked a lot. But Earth Up, National Storytelling Network, it can be Googled. I'll put it in the chat.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you. And again, like I see this chat just filling up, and it's really cool. A couple things. We'll pull the chat and we'll post it on our Province 5 website. Our Province 5 Creation Care email goes out closer to the middle of the month. It's usually been on the 15th about. It's going to be bigger this month because it's April and there are so many more events, but there always is an events section. So these will all be listed there. But again, register, share these with people who don't have a way to connect to what's going on. I also want to point toward the Province 5 website as well, because Heather's also putting them in the Province 5 newsletter that's going out later today, which is wonderful. Heather is also, she doesn't mind, going to drop just the link to sign up for the Province 5 newsletter, our general newsletter, and the Creation Care newsletter. For those of you who aren't in Province 5 and may not be signed up for that, if you want yet another newsletter, they both go out monthly and have a bunch of resources. So if she can find that link, she'll drop it into the chat. That probably is it. And also on our website, it's from last year. We haven't updated it yet, the dates yet from this year, but on the Creation Care page, there's a really good list of rogation, liturgical resources for rogation, for anybody who would need or want that, ways to mark the rogation days at your parish. It's this province, oh, you probably can't see my screen, but just the provincev.org/creation that Heather put in there on that, and you literally just have to scroll down and get to it. It's still marked with the 2020 dates, but the resources are the same. Oh yeah, she said scroll all the way down to the bottom, and that is true because it's almost a year. We have a year's worth of posts ahead of it now. Another thing I'd like to mention, And I think Jerry will have something to say about this as well. We are both on the advisory committee. Apparently, we don't call ourselves a board anymore. But
We're staff now.
oh, we're staff. Does that mean I get to start getting
Good
paid?
word. Yeah, that's a big word.
Awesome. For the Center for Religion and Environment, as he mentioned. And we have the benefit of having a lot of gifted scholars on our staff. And what we have done for the fall of 2021, coinciding with the season of creation for this year, is put together a more formal course offering, which I will share and upload into this chat as a file. It's things that Deacon Joey has mentioned, things like living in an icon, things like green reading of the creeds, things like that the scholars affiliated with the Center for Religion and Environment would offer. It's essentially our course listing. It's a starting point topically, meaning we would say, hey, we offer this particular course and we're thinking it's going to be 5 sessions that would meet every other week, completely making this up. But the point is that you would read it and think, hey, this would be something that I would be interested in. Or better yet, I know a group of folks, maybe from my parish or from my diocese, that would be interested in taking one of these courses, at which point you would reach out to me or reach out to Jerry and say, hey, let's have a conversation about this because we really want to lift this up and make this happen. And then we would talk to you about really the best method for scheduling. Meaning if we had suggested 6 courses, but you really felt like you loved the topic, but you wanted to do it in 4 courses or in a long weekend at a conference center, that would be fine. The point is that we're making people aware of what the Center for Religion and Environment is hoping to offer in the fall. Jerry, fair? Yes. And while you're kind of filling in the blanks I left, I'll go ahead and drop the document.
It really is to start paying attention to the center as a potential collaborating resource for you. If there's something you need, talk to us. We'll see if we can do something with it. And basically, it's us and the resources of the University of the South and the School of Theology there. So, not to overpromise what we can do. I mean, we are pretty small. But to say the nature of it is we're trying to do theology and faith function and church development for a greener earth. And so if you're wanting to work on that edge, we might be able to come up with ways to help you. So, and we're starting out with some very particular courses that some of the professors and others of us are willing to actually conduct. So, all right. What else? Catherine, I was thinking of reversing the question here. So is there something else you got that you want to do? So far we have been talking, we've been letting people speak who seem to know what they're doing. So I want to open up the floor for those of us who might not be so sure of ourselves and who might wonder what to do or feel like there's the obstacles are just too great, or the obstacles are at least, and just to open up, what do you need? What's not working for you? Is there something about maybe you feel like you should do something in April or May or in the fall or something, and you're not quite sure what to do? And I'm gonna give you folks a chance to ask. So, any questions or concerns about these seasons, these opportunities that you'd like to put before the group? And if none, I would like to ask why. Is that everybody's chock full of resources and know-how? You pretty well got it? Is that the sense? Because that would be great. Yeah, Elliot?
I just wanted to say that I've just been typing stuff into the chat all over the place, all sorts of resources. So people just look at the chat, you'll see the resources that I threw in there, including Ecumenical Advocacy Days, which is coming.
Yeah.
What I do earlier, I can't remember what I did earlier. But I've just been typing in a lot of suggestions and resources, including that I thought that Rogation Days might be a really good time to promote community sustainable agriculture or community supported agriculture. I can't remember what the S stands for, and maybe get a speaker. Whatever local organization is doing that here. Here in Columbus, there's a big community garden in Franklinton that does CSA boxes, and the other thought was I can't. Oh yeah, I don't know how far the diocese has gotten on the gleaning project, but idea, but that would be another chance to, if you do have a gleaning program in your diocese, it'd be a good time to promote that as well.
And Elliot, let me ask you a follow-up. Oh, go ahead, Jane, and then we'll go to
Catherine, because you were going to follow up. You were going to ask a follow-up question, so do go back to Elliot, please.
Elliot, my only follow-up question is just, I saw that you put in the chat that St. Stephen's, which is on the Ohio State University campus right in the middle of Columbus, is looking to revive the lecture series that at one time brought in big name speakers, and you're looking for suggestions. Can you say a little more about the kind of speaker that would be appealing in case anybody knows anyone or?
Yeah, we brought in, I mean, this was years ago, and I have to really scratch my memory as to who people mentioned came, but I think Gene Robinson came when there was all that controversy about having a gay bishop, and oh gosh, there was I can't remember precisely who people said, but it would be like speakers of that kind of reputation.
We'll give it some thought, and maybe for the next meeting, if there's anything, a little more specific, the group may be able to lift somebody up.
I'm just looking for suggestions to pass on to the committee that's revising the series. It's maybe somebody, as I said, we can't pay big bucks. So, but.
All right. Smaller bucks, smaller names.
But maybe there's but sometimes you get fairly big names who've just written a book and are on a book tour.
Sure.
And therefore you can get them in free because their publisher is paying for everything. So if any of you know anything like that, as I say, it has to be a name that has some appeal or at least some recognition in the academic audience around here, because that's where most of the people who would come
are. You looking for an in-person or a virtual?
Oh yeah, in person. Yeah,
in-person.
This would not be starting up until fall at the earliest.
Oh, okay, got it.
Maybe not even until 2022. But
okay,
we're just kind of brainstorming right now.
Thank you. And then we'll go to Jane and then to Joey again.
I don't have another specific suggestion. I wanted to comment on something that Ann said early on in our meeting, which was about leadership. I come from a very small parish, and it's not very active, and it's very traditional. And I came in with all my urban, take care of the environment ideas, and I want to say that leadership counts. You may be the only person. You may be the only person who even cares about something. I look at the conversations that Mike has had with us about gleaning. I didn't really know anything about gleaning, but every time he starts speaking about that, I learn a little more, and I can become a little more active in sharing what I know, as small as it is, with the people that surround me. I can therefore go to the Methodist church across the street and speak with them about their food pantry, for example, and whether or not we want fresh vegetables out there. So I just want to encourage us to not stay within our own shyness. It's really important to get out there, even if you're the only one, because guess what? People are really beginning to care about the environment. And I think we need to understand that there will be people that we will meet on the journey. So that's all I have to say. Sorry.
Thank you. I think we all take a little bit from your commitment, so really appreciate it. I think there was, go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment on it, and then there was somebody else who was about to speak, right?
Yeah, I think there was someone else.
Just the other thing, Jane, about a small church with very little interest or leadership, maybe to say, make it about the church.
Right.
That's where rogation is really helpful. It's got nothing to do necessarily. I mean, it's got everything to do, but you don't have to make it to do with any current crisis or politics. It's a very old tradition of honoring the land and all sorts of things about the land. Actually, the new liturgy, or the liturgy for it in the book Vocational Services, has a whole list. You don't need property really to walk the liturgy through that liturgy and to touch base with just about every aspect of everybody's lives, from the food they eat to the power they use, to the grass that grows, to buildings and grounds, to just everything. And so you can just make it completely about the church, and then you're not necessarily hitting any hot buttons with anybody. You can start, it's a very low bar. And so anyway, just throwing that out there. Okay, who's next?
Question? You're sharing that the Book of Occasional Services has resources for Vocation Days?
They do. They have the Rogation Day service, and it's several pages long.
Okay,
And then have an
ours is outdated at this point, so I'll need to find it.
It's right there in the link. It's available online
Okay, great.
for free.
Catherine, may I voice
Of
something?
course, yeah, I think it was you that was next, for sure.
Great. So first of all, I'm so happy to know you and be introduced to you, Province 5. Thank you. As I was mentioning to Jerry and to Robin about a month ago, something happened at our diocese that really changed my life in terms of how to proceed with one of the three main causes we have in the Episcopal Church, which is evangelism, racial healing, and care for creation. Our diocese has started to partner with the Absalom Jones Center for Racial Healing out of Atlanta. And as I've gotten involved in that, it hit me that we now in our diocese, Catherine, have a center, someplace with that's been up and running with lots of groundwork that we can partner with and understand what the call is for racial reconciliation and racial healing. And every one of our deacons and priests have to go through this program, and then we bring it out into the world and into the parishes. And I told Robin and Jerry several weeks ago, I said, I'm going to talk to Morris Thompson about this and talk to him about possibly partnering with CRE out of Swanee. And I'm just dropping this off on you. Why couldn't we, at least in these two synods, have a partnership with, CRE and create a center, where all of our Episcopalian priests and dioceses and everybody could have a resource and go to and work from it and have a common voice. about building this deep green faith that Jerry keeps talking about. So I'm just going to tell you that and Morris has announced that he's retiring, unfortunately, at the end of next year. So my ask for him is one last thing, Bishop, one last thing. Can we talk about this? And can we find a way to partner with CRE out of Swanee and create a center that we can all work out of and create a common language and a common dialogue? That's it.
Yeah.
Jerry, were you going to say about that, or oh my gosh,
I'm saying, yeah, the idea that the central, strong, consistent voice is what we need. I mean, I think environmental work tends to be very scattered, right? There's just like we're doing it in the chat here, right? We are running resources right and left, and they're all over the place, and everybody gets to pick theirs, but we are still kind of all over the board. And working together is, strangely enough, a real challenge for people in the environmental edge. So anyways, it's that commonality and a unity and that singularity of focus and voice that's really a challenge.
I can't believe that hour went so quickly. That really just blows my mind. It's 12 o'clock. Well, it's 11:59. So let me just wrap up with a couple of things, and then we'll close in prayer. One is that we'll post the chat to the Province 5 website, but I will also glean it. See what I did there? I will glean it, and I'll take the resources and the events, and they'll go into at least most of them will be included in the email that goes out on tomorrow from Heather, and then also the one that goes out from me around the 15th. So I would encourage you to review everything that's been offered and sign up and share the things that speak to you. There's just so much out there, especially this month. And there was a link to sign up, I think, for the emails. Heather, maybe you could post that in there again and make that the last one if people are interested. I think I saw it go by. If you're from Province 4 especially, and you're not signed up already, to receive these emails, because we would just love to see you sign up and you share the information, the resource. So there you go, newsletter, sign up right there. Anything else for the good of the group before we close in prayer? Hearing nothing. Blessed
good.
Easter to you all. Jerry, would you pray us out, my friend? Oh, everyone's invited to all of our network meetings too. In Province 5, we have a number of different networks. They'll all be in the email. This is just one of several that meets regularly to unite people around topical ministry areas. So yeah, I won't name them all in the interest of time, but there's a lot going on across the province, and I know in Province 4 as well. And it's not limited provincially, obviously. Anybody from any province is invited to any network meeting. So on that note, Jerry.
And I dropped in the Province 4 signups as well, somewhere in this chat. It's way up there, but it's there. So good job, everyone. Yeah, lots of energy and ideas and goodness. And this is the hope of the present in any way. So may God grant grace and spirit and gospel to the desires of our hearts and the works of our hands. Bless it with spirit and truth, and go before us as we seek the face of God. May God be found as God has promised. So go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Jerry, can you hang on a minute?
Yep.
Awesome.
Peace be with you all. Bye-bye.
Blessed
Thank
day,
you.
everybody. Peace be with you.
Peace. Goodbye.
Stop recording, Catherine.
All right, everyone.